As I speak to you right now, the Northern Elders has sent a very strong and interesting letter to the US Congress over the issue of Sharia in Nigeria. Please, I beg you to listen to this news because Kasara is about to burst. You know, whenever I tell you that a letter is strong and interesting, trust me, you know what I mean. And that is exactly the kind of letter that the Northern Elders has sent to US Congress. Now, before we get down into this news, I want to shock you. Ask me how. Okay, just spend 20 seconds. 20 seconds and listen to this video. I want to play for you now. Just 20 seconds, please.
Our constitution is not secular. Our constitution is a Sharia constitution. And that is where we have problems today, including the insurgency in the name of Sharia.
Keep listening, please.
The 1999 constitution is a Sharia constitution. Because I mentioned in one interview, there are up to 73 mentions of Sharia in that constitution. About 28 mentions of Islam in that constitution. About 10 mentions of Muslim in that constitution. There is no mention of Christian or Christianity in that constitution. That means these Christians don't exist in this country. That is the truth. We cannot shy away from it. And the National Assembly members know this. But the problem with this country is that we have cowards in position of power who, even when they know the truth, are unable to speak out and say, gentlemen, this doesn't suit the so-called secularity of the constitution. Sharia, whether we like it or not, that's what will continue to happen unless it is crushed. Negotiation will not work.
Did you hear that? That Nigerian constitution is not a secular constitution. What does that mean? It simply means that Nigerian constitution does not bond the whole country, that it bonds some people and segregates some people. Oh yes. And the second part he said, which is the most interesting one, he said that Nigerian constitution is a Sharia constitution. No be me talk am. I hope you guys had it. You know what? Maybe I will get you the full details of this video in one of my next video. Oh yes, so that you understand what we are talking about. Because sometimes when we say this, some of you think, you know, I talk about Nigeria out of hatred or whatever. No, but it is a reality. I'll get you the full video of that, interview. Please do well to subscribe. Now, to the news that Northern Elders has sent a very strong, letter to the US Congress. Let us go down to this letter and see what they are saying. Please, I beg you to stay with me in this video. Now, the letter says, let me zoom in so you can see it. It says, okay, Northern Nigerian leaders, along with various Islamic groups and officials, have strongly rejected calls to abolish Sharia law in the region, warning that such actions could threaten the unity of Nigeria. Warning that such actions could threaten the unity of Nigeria. This is same people that said that Nigerian unity is sacrosanct. Today, they are telling us that if they try to abolish, Sharia, that Nigerians' unity will be threatened. Now, I ask, so there could be anything that could threaten the unity of Nigeria? There could be anything. So at this point, Nigerians' unity is no longer sacrosanct. Holy Jesus, what a country. Now, let us go further. It says, recent intensified discussions regarding the removal of Sharia, often prompted by international and southern Nigerian pressures, have been met with staunch resistance. Key point includes, let's look at the key points they mentioned. Please stay with me. It's just a few seconds reading, all right? It says, the first one, sovereignty and constitutional right. Sovereignty and constitutional right. Leaders argued that Sharia law is a constitutional right permitted under Nigeria's federal system, and they reject external interference, particularly calls from US lawmakers to repeal it. So they are saying that, come on, the practice of Sharia in Nigeria is their constitutional right. And this only proves that man right, that Nigerian constitution is a Sharia constitution. Only this, they have said it, that Sharia is, in Nigerian constitution, it is their right. And so they have the right to practice it. So whoever that is telling them not to practice Sharia is going against the law. Second point they made is this: non-negotiable issue. Northern groups emphasized that Sharia is deeply rooted in the cultural and religious life of the region's Muslim majority, making it non-negotiable. Making it non-negotiable. It cannot be negotiated that they must practice their Sharia, that it is rooted in their culture and in their religious life. Non-negotiable. Okay, at this point, it is Sharia that is non-negotiable. It is Sharia that is sacrosanct. It is no longer the unity of Nigeria. All right. The third one, they said, is threat to national unity. Critics of abolishing Sharia warn that pushing for its removal could lead to the breakup of the country, with some stating that the North could prefer separation to the banning of Sharia, that they would prefer for Nigeria to separate, for Nigeria to break up, instead of stop the practice of Sharia. Did you get that? So you understand what we are talking about. Now, lastly, it says, let me zoom it. Lastly, it says, response to international pressure. Following recommendations from a U.S. congressional panel to repeal Sharia and blasphemy laws, Nigerian Islamic leaders labeled the move as arrogancy and new colonialism, vowing that no intimidation would end the practice. It is what? They said that it is out of arrogancy that made the U.S. congressional panel to call for the removal of Sharia. Ha! What a country. Sometimes I listen to all this news and I sit down, I ask myself, does it mean that we don't have people who reason at all in this country? Does it mean that we don't have people who still have the conscience of God to come and speak out? Does it mean that we don't have people who are educated enough or bold enough to come out and, talk about all this? Holy Jesus. Anyway, I'm just the analytic guy. Don't blame me. All right. Lastly, it says, while some southern leaders and human rights groups argued that Sharia criminal laws undermines national security and individual rights, northern stakeholders maintain that the system is essential for justice and religious practice. They maintain that the system is essential for justice. Well, this is where it ends. But then, I will still allow you now to listen to the video a northern elder made on national television, where he spoke about all this. And he said that, come on, they are not going back, that no removal of Sharia in Nigeria. Remember that the US Congress has said that, for Nigeria to remain one, for all these, killings to stop in Nigeria, that they must remove Sharia law. Now, my question is this. At this point that they have firmly confirmed and stand that no removal of Sharia, what do you think that the US Congress will do? What would they do? Okay, they will say, no problem, practice your faith, but just stop the killing. Is that what they're going to say? Well, drop your comment in the comment section. But then, I will beg you to spend just a little time and listen to what their members said. And then you understand what we are saying. Please do well to subscribe to this channel if this is your first time, all right? Because we got a lot of information to share with you. Please listen to him.
On the program by Professor Dahiru Usman, Islamic law expert, Bayero University, Kano, joining us from our Kano studio. Welcome to the program, Prof. Let's get right into it. We see what is playing out. Iran, Israel, America on that side, and it's looking more of a religious thing now with some of the pronouncements right now. We understand that there's been some sort of order now given to some Muslims in that area that now is the time for you to defend yourself. So while that is playing out, we also have our own fair share of issues with the United States as well. The U.S. Congress recommending, well, that Sharia law be removed from our laws in a manner of speaking. I've heard people say they never got to debate Sharia law before it was put into the Constitution, that you just had President Olusegun Obasanjo signing that Constitution, which he had not seen before, and it has become a law. And a lot of people fear that if Nigeria keeps going down this path, then we might have bigger trouble on our hands. I wonder how you weigh in on this, seeing what is also playing out between Iran, Israel, the US, but more importantly, our own bit of the story with Sharia law. I really hope Prof can hear me and it's not a delay that is taking too long. But it's important to speak to these issues and get the perspectives now of those who are concerned. So, Prof, I really hope that we get the audio bit sorted so you can hear us properly and give us your perspective. But yes, the U.S. Congress has given a recommendation, submitted it to the White House, a two-page document, spoke to a number of things, partnering with Nigeria and all of that. But one of the bits in the recommendation is about Sharia law. And it's important to feel the pulse of leaders, even legal experts, religious leaders, those in government in northern states that operate Sharia law, to understand your thinking of this one. So, Prof, please confirm you can hear me, or you got my question.
I can hear you.
Okay, please go ahead then.
Well, thank you for having me on the studio. And the takeoff point is to acknowledge the fact that the right to religion is a fundamental human right that has been acknowledged, recognized, and sanctioned by international human rights instruments. Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, absolutely. Please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Prof.
Yes.
Go ahead.
The takeoff point, like I said, is to acknowledge and recognize the fact that the right to religion is a fundamental human right that has been recognized, sanctioned by all international human rights instruments, regional instruments, and domestic constitutions. The Sharia implementation in Nigeria did not start with the 1999 constitution. Even as far back as 1802, and as documented by scholars on Orientalists and writers on African customary systems, they have acknowledged the fact that Sharia law has been in existence. In fact, outside the Arabian Peninsula, nowhere was the Sharia applied, including the criminal law of capital offenses like it is applicable in northern Nigeria. Now, the issue of the United States demand for the proscription of Sharia, I think it is a very serious fundamental human rights concern to the Muslims of northern Nigeria or Nigeria in general, because the rights of every human being to religion, like I said, is sanctioned, and the Muslims are not an exception. And in fact, that would, in a way, interfere with the domestic affairs in Nigeria of regulating religious rights. And even the United States, there are quite a number of Muslims, and that the statistics are showing that one of the fastest growing religion is the religion of Islam. And the United States is very well known of religious freedom. So it is surprising that the United States will be demanding that people who have a belief, people who have a constitutional and fundamental human rights to be guided and to be regulated by their religious laws would have faraway United States coming to dictate that people would have to jettison their constitutional rights, their fundamental human rights to religion. I think that demand would never be practicable. As far as the Muslims are alive, as far as Nigerian Muslims are alive, the issue of their right to religion is non-negotiable and cannot be taken away by any system. For even the colonial masters, when they came, they tried hard to take away the Sharia, but they could not do that. So I think it is, in a way, I may say, laughable that the United States would think that the Muslims would drop their religious right over and above the demand of the United States.
All right, Prof, let's look at it two ways. Section 10 talks about the fact that the country is not, it's a secular state by essence. So no states, the federation cannot adopt a religion. I want you to speak to that, whether this is not a contradiction. I know that section 275 up to section 279 talks about the Sharia court and all of that. So I want you to help us understand whether it is not a contradiction that in one breath the Constitution says no state or the federation shall adopt any state religion, yet we're seeing Sharia in our Constitution. That's one question. The second question has to do with the latitude of the Sharia law itself. Now, if the argument is, let's use an example, the Deborah case in Sokoto. What was the issue? They were in a WhatsApp group, and then she made some statement that persons within the Muslim community were not comfortable with, and they considered it blasphemy, and she was killed. And the case was an embarrassment, literally, because of how it was prosecuted. I think that case was left off because of lack of diligent prosecution, because of what was even filed in the first place. People expected murder and all those kind of charges to be filed, but all kinds of things were filed, and it was a bit of an embarrassment. So the second question is the latitude. Should Sharia law have applied to somebody like Deborah, who is not a Muslim?
Well, I cannot hear you.
Should I repeat the question?
I lost. You repeat the question because I didn't get the last part.
The first question was section 10. Talks about the federation or any state will not adopt.
That is well taken.
Okay.
Yes.
The second one was the latitude of the implementation of the Sharia law itself. And I gave an example of Deborah that was killed because of blasphemy. She's a Christian. The Muslim guys in our WhatsApp group were not comfortable with what she said, and they considered it a blasphemy, and they killed her. We can talk about the court case another day. But what I'm saying, should Sharia law have applied to Deborah in this instance? Because the argument is, for some people, it's not the existence of Sharia law, it's the latitude of Sharia law beyond Muslims.
Okay. I lost the audience. I can't hear you.
Prof, go ahead and answer the one you heard first. Answer the one you heard.
Okay, you see, the issue of Section 10 of the 1999 Constitution, I think around 1999-2000, there were a lot of debates when Zamfara State started the re-implementation of the Sharia. Now, you see, the issue of Section 10. Section 10 should not be read in isolation to other provisions of the Constitution. Section 10, quite all right, stated in the substantive provision that that Nigeria, no state or the federation should adopt any religion as a state religion. But that does not mean the argument, my view, and many others hold the view that Nigeria is not a secular country. Now, the take-off point in arguing this is, what is a secular state, and what is when can a state be said to be secular? The ordinary meaning, English meaning of secularism is to be indifferent to religion, indifferent to godly things, and no one can say that Nigeria is not a godly country, because beginning from the preamble of the Constitution, we resolved, as per the preamble of the Constitution, to live as one sovereign country under God. And then the Constitution, like all international human rights instruments under Section 38, sanctions the right to religion, thought, and conscience. You have the right to practice your religion either in public or private. And then going down, like you rightly said, there are religious institutions that have been established by the Constitution, like the Sharia Court of Appeal, like the other aspect of the religion that is in the Constitution. And we know that the practice and the tradition in Nigeria is that the federal government, the state governments, do also sponsor religious pilgrimage, which is a religious thing, which is an indication that there is a religion, that the government recognizes a religion. And then it is obvious and it is known that any political office holder is asked to swear by the scripture he believes when he's taken out of office and out of allegiance. We have religious holidays that have been observed in Nigeria, and a host of other things that really will tell you that those who argue that Nigeria is secular do not really understand the meaning of being secular. For to be secular is to be unreligious, is to have no business with God or any religious affair. And no one can tell me that Nigeria and Nigerians are secular people who have no business with religion. And there are so many other, even the common law as we apply it is also not a secular law. It is a religious law because it traces its origin from a religion. The authorities are clear. In the United Kingdom, in 1962, in the appeal cases, there is a Bowman against secular state, where the origin and the connection of the common law, which is largely applicable law in Nigeria based on our common law orientation, is also a religious law. So my argument and my take from the prescriptions and the provisions in the Constitution, it is wrong to call Nigeria a secular state just by the looking at the marginal note of Section 10. You know, the content, the substantive provision are that no state or federal government should today wake up and say that the only applicable law is, for example, Sharia law or a Christian law. No state or federal government can do that. That is the intendment of Section 10 of the 1999 Constitution. The marginal note that said secular, I think does not, because throughout the reading of the 1999 Constitution, you would never find anywhere where Nigeria is called or declared to be a secular state. And for you to call a country a secular country, there must be a particular declaration in the Constitution to say that this is a secular country. And for countries that have declared to be Islamic states, it is obvious you find provisions in their own constitution that clearly declare the state to be an Islamic state or a Sharia state. So the implementation of Sharia in Nigeria is not in any way an unconstitutional act. Yes.
Yes. Your debate about the secularist outlook of Nigeria, could be challenged if we looked at the context to which secularism means now, not subject to or bound by religious rule, not subject to or bound by religious rule. Now, if you consider that Nigeria is a heterogeneous country, I believe the question is to the effect that should other populations who do not derive their faith from Islam, as others in the north do, be subject to Sharia law? And northern Nigeria is as heterogeneous as other parts of Nigeria. I believe that's the question, and specifically in relation to Deborah. So should Sharia law have applied to her? I believe that is the context of the question that you should be addressing.
Well, there are two questions. I'm getting to the case of Deborah. The first question is whether, in the light of Section 10, Sharia implementing states are violating the secular nature of Nigeria. That is the first premise, and that was the first question. Now, to the question with respect to the extent of the application of Sharia law, I think there is a lot of misinformation and ignorance of the existing Sharia criminal framework in the states that are implementing Sharia. There are provisos specifically provided that Sharia law is only to apply to those who profess the Islamic faith. It is only where a non-Muslim has given his written consent to be bound by the Sharia penal code that he is to be tried in accordance with Sharia penal code. And the case of Deborah was never tried in accordance with the Sharia penal code of Sokoto State. The way it operates is that from 2000 to date, in the state that are implementing Sharia, there are two criminal codes. There is the penal code laws of northern Nigeria, which has been domesticated by the states, and that applies to those who are not Muslims. And then there is the Sharia penal code that applies only to the Muslims who profess the Islamic faith. No state, in the light of the provisions of Section 38 of the Constitution, is or can subject a non-Muslim to the application and the dictates of the Sharia penal code. So there is a lot of misinformation about how the Sharia codes are applicable in northern Nigeria. You can check the Sharia penal codes did not in Zamfara State, in Kano State, and the other states that are implementing Sharia did not mandate and make the Sharia codes applicable to all that are resident in the states. So it is wrong for anyone to say that the Sharia penal codes, the Sharia laws are applicable to non-Muslims. And in specific reply to the issue of Deborah, I think the Northern Nigerian Penal Code proscribes and punishes blasphemy. And blasphemy, even under the penal code laws of Northern Nigeria, and not to talk of even the Sharia penal code, it is a law that is not to be applied by any Tom and Harry, but it has to be in accordance with criminal trials. The Sharia does not allow jungle justice. Sharia does not condone people taking laws into their hands. And I have examples to give. In the nearby state of Kebbi State, sometimes in 2000, I've forgotten the date, but the law report is there, the case of Inshallah against the state. This is even a Muslim that blasphemed our noble prophet, and then he was extrajudicially killed by some Muslims. They were tried, they were convicted, they appealed up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court confirmed their conviction and sentence to death for killing the person that they claim blasphemed.
So, Prof,
so we should understand that
indeed.
Deborah was never tried in accordance with Sharia code, and Sharia in Northern Nigeria is not applicable on all, but only those who profess the Islamic faith and who are not Muslims but have submitted their voluntary written consent.
All right, Prof. So maybe we'll allow you grab some water, but as we wind down, what you're saying in essence is that the Sharia law actually makes provisions for people who commit murder, and in the case of those who killed Deborah, Sharia law prescribes that they should be killed as well. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, if they are. I've given you an example. The case of Inshallah and State. The case of Inshallah and State is even a Muslim that blasphemed the noble prophet.
I understand. So I'm saying for those who killed Deborah, they should also be killed under Sharia law, right?
Yes, if they are tried and found guilty, the law will take its course.
Do you think they should be tried? Prof, do you think they should be tried?
Of course. Our criminal law does not give everybody the license, even if a crime is committed, to take the laws into their hands. That is why the criminal justice is there, and even the Sharia, no offense. Even outside blasphemy, no offense is given. People are given a blank check to try people and then extrajudicially kill them.
So why were they not tried? Why were they then defended in court instead? Because they weren't tried under Sharia law for the killings, were they? For the killing of Deborah, were they?
Were not defended? What do you mean by they were not
So what
defended?
happened was the case was taken to court, and those who killed Deborah were defended in court instead of being tried under the Sharia law for killing Deborah, if you understand what I mean.
You see, the issue of trial and defense is a matter of the legal profession and the legal practice. In fact, under our laws, no one can be tried for capital offense without legal representation. It happened in Kano, the case of Abdul Jabbar, the case of Abul Inyas. There are also cases of blasphemy. They were defended. They were provided lawyers by the Ministry of Justice, and at times they were provided lawyers by the legal aid. So there are so many criminal cases that are going on.
What I'm saying is they were tried under Nigeria's law, but they weren't tried under Sharia law for killing someone. Is what I'm about. Do you have evidence against that? Were they tried under Sharia law?
Well, you see, if you kill, like I gave you example. The case of Inshallah, and the issue of trial under whatever law is the prerogative of the Attorney General. No one can dictate to the Attorney General of state or the federation under which law to try. The Attorney General may well try to prosecute them under the penal code laws of Northern Nigeria, or he may prosecute them under the Sharia penal code. It's the prerogative of the Attorney General, and in fact, the Attorney General has the powers under the Constitution. No amount of interest involved. In any case, the Attorney General can even enter to prosecute, and no one can question his powers to do so. So these are political and constitutional issues that are best answered by the Attorney General as to why they were not tried in accordance with either Sharia penal code law or the penal code. He has the choice.
Well, Prof, clearly this is an ongoing conversation, and it's important to have them so everybody is able to air their opinions and have a greater nation. But we have to thank you so much, Islamic law expert, Bayero University, Kano, Professor Tahiru Usman, joining us.
We are never one country before. Tell me one time in the history of this country that IPOB came out to kidnap people and ask for ransom. Esther, that shows you that we are never one country before. Lord Lugard did us a disfavor.
Barrister Darlington Agumo, good evening, and thank you for joining me on the Evening Rush today.
My pleasure once again.
How are you?
I'm okay.
You joined me during the world news at 6, so I'll say I appreciate that.
In fact, the bad news can cause somebody insanity.
Well, at this point in time, we shouldn't let it get very close to home.
It is worrisome.
Something needs to be done as soon as possible. Now let's go straight to the conversation. Islamic cleric, security commentator Sheikh Ahmed Gumi is urging the federal government to reconsider its heavy spending on military operations and instead explore dialogue with armed groups operating across the country. The cleric said lasting peace cannot be achieved through force alone. According to him, negotiations remain the most practical path to resolving Nigeria's worsening security crisis. In this regard as well, he has said he can actually help the Nigerian government if only groups which he put in the same bracket as terrorists, IPOB, bandits and other elements drop their weapons, then he can help them. What does that mean?
Esther, that man should stop talking. He is part of this problem. In fact, the federal government should have long arrested him and jailed him. Whenever he wants to come to limelight, he will use this insecurity to clean up his battered image. Every time he has been saying this. Was he not the one who told us that except we negotiate with bandits, that there will be no peace in Nigeria? That we had to listen to him, to them, and then pay them the money they demanded. So after eating the money, what will now happen? Who will eat the money with them? What are they going to do with the money? You can see the mentality of Sheikh Gumi. He doesn't even know anything about the terrorism and how they can be contained. Instead of this man to say the northern leaders should rehabilitate their children, let them go back to school. He is talking of the federal government. Dialogue with them so that what will happen? No, so that what will happen? So that they will give up condition. Is that not the next thing? You dialogue with the terrorists, and so what happened? After the expiration of the dialogue, what happens? All the ones with dialogue and all the ones with rehabilitated, what came out of it? So nobody should listen to that Sheikh Gumi. Rather, they should interrogate him, his relationship with the terrorists. They should interrogate that man. Every time he wants to talk, he will say something that has to do with bandit, terrorists and all that. How can you say that IPOB and Boko Haram, they are on the same group? Tell me, the pursuit of IPOB is known to the whole world. That is why nobody has regarded them as a terrorist group. So why do you want to bring IPOB into the group of Boko Haram, ISWAP and bandits? On what ground? This thing that Boko Haram, ISWAP and bandits are doing, does IPOB do the same thing? No, tell me one time in the history of this country that IPOB came out to kidnap people and ask for ransom. Let Sheikh Gumi come and tell me when it has happened, either in the southeast or anywhere. Let Sheikh Gumi come and tell me when IPOB went into a village and killed everybody for whatever reason. Whatever reason. Let him tell me. Let Sheikh Gumi come and tell me when IPOB went to any place outside Igbo land and said, except you become an Igbo man, you're a dead person. And these are things that these other groups are known for. Let Sheikh Gumi come and tell me when IPOB was criminalized in any part of the world, apart from Buhari. So how can he mention IPOB in his game plan? He doesn't know what to say. Please let him keep quiet if he doesn't know what to say.
The security, specifically in the north, it feels like somehow they are not talking, okay? Because northern Nigeria, as we know it, they currently protested against against Israel and the US. We saw them come out to protest. We've not seen them come out to protest about the insecurity currently ravaging their region.
Exactly.
So are they in cahoots or in connivance with this nonsense? Let's I want you to listen to this. Let's listen to what this sheikh is saying. Sheikh Malam Bello Murtala Asada. Obviously, he's not happy with this development. He feels that terrorists are doing.
Sannan abin da zai baku mamaki gwamnatoci suna gani ga bala'i nan yana haddasuwa waɗannan 'yan ta'addad babu magana su ja da baya ko da kun ga.
What he's saying is that if it weren't for the fact that northern Nigerians are backing the Islamic Fulani killer kidnappers, we would have seen heavy protests from the north. Why remain silent in the face of death? That's what he's saying. Staying quiet shows that they all support Sharia in the north because that's the way of life for Muslims. I am wondering, we saw when Trump said he wanted to bomb, the enclaves of the terrorists, some certain individuals came out to say and threaten Trump that if he does come, they will set their mosquitoes on them and they will have malaria fever for the rest of their lives. Though it was ridiculous, we saw them carrying placards, all right, with the APC cap of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu showing 8 years, 4 + 4, 8, and signaling that if they do try to come to Nigeria, they were protesting. So if they are not complaining and it feels like possibly it's we in the south that really amplifying the issue, does it mean that they're in support of what is going on, where these terrorists are killing their people, decimating their communities? It's only the Christian dominated areas like how Reverend Dachomo has been crying out that have been speaking up lately. The other communities, you don't hear anything. Nobody protests. Schools don't protest, but they were protesting recently against Israel and the US.
Esther, that shows you that we are never one country before. Lord Lugard did us a disfavor. This thing started from the origin. It started from somewhere. That was just the main problem. We are never one. We can never be one. We can never be one, no matter how you try to patch it, Esther. This insecurity have shown the whole world that we are never one. And the earlier the whole world come to our aid, the better, because it may get to a head. Look, when you allow or you refuse to allow a peaceful change, then a violent change may be inevitable at the end of the day. I don't know how long we continue to live with this insecurity, because these guys, they are not letting go. We want to move on with our life in the south here. We want to be progressive. We want to make progress. We want to leave a legacy for our children. Not a legacy of terrorism, for God's sake. Esther, did you see the small children that are carrying gun in the north? Does it not bother you? Small children. 16, 17, 18. That means they have been born into terrorism. So these ones will grow. By the time they are 30, they would have become commander. They would have found their own camps. It will get to a point whereby the states will now have their own terrorist group controlling that state, telling the governor what to do and what not to do. With the way things are going. So is that what we want us to bequeath to our children? So that for you to now survive in Nigeria, you must be a terrorist. You must have the power of threat and all that. You must develop muscle, carry gun. That's the only way to survive in Nigeria. What progress will that bring to you and I? What progress? So
do you know that a commanding officer was shot dead? Boko Haram hitting the military base. They slaughtered these soldiers. We're seeing this in real time, and they're capturing this digitally, putting it across, several social media platforms. Let me tell you something, Barrister Darlington. If the Nigerian military can no longer hold on to fighting and protecting us, if these terrorists overrun us, we're done with.
That's what I told you here, that if they enter Ekiti, it's just a 6 hours business. They will finish transacting this business in 6 hours in Ekiti. Ekiti just 2.5 million population. If they enter there, because they're already in Kwara, from Kwara to Ekiti is not even a 1 hour journey. 1 hour. And so, is that what you are waiting for? Who will stop them in Ekiti? So when we are saying this, government don't even pay attention. It's a very unfortunate, seriously. Government don't, for you to kill one Nigerian soldier, not to talk of many of them, and government just keep silent, as if those ones are just numbers. And you are telling me that one day the military will not ask questions. Why are we dying? Why are we not giving arms and ammunition to fight terrorists? Why are we being used as a cannon fodder? Our line managers are not doing the needful. They are all in their offices and they send us to go and die. These things will come up one day, sir. Go and mark my word. And then they say the military, they are now in mutiny. They have done this, they have done that. But who gave room for it? How can you send Nigerian soldiers to just go and die like that? Needlessly. Imagine soldiers running away from these terrorists, Esther. Running away from them. Look, there are things that can bring shame to a country. There are things that can bring shame to a country, Esther.
You said if they enter Ekiti. Barrister, let me tell you this. Kidnappers raped a victim to death in Ekiti and demanded 2 virgin girls as ransom for their cups. In Ajoni local government area, a middle-aged lady was kidnapped and raped to death. They demanded 1.5 million naira, Canadian loud, cocaine, miri, and cartons of beer to release her cups. The villagers rallied, raised cash equivalent because they didn't know where to get the drugs mentioned. 4 brave men who went to deliver the cash were seized. The kidnappers sent a message to the village asking for 2 virgin girls for their release or they too will be killed. Apparently, this has been going on for years in Ekiti as the terrorists move freely and has cut off the community's access to water or hospitals, keeping them caged. 6 towns are under siege. Itakbaji, Iyemero, I hope I pronounced that right, please. I didn't use Yoruba
Go ahead. The name
connotation.
Is not important. Is what
Oke Ako, Irele, Ijowa, and Ikpao. And according to locals, their political representatives, both senators and rep members, have not said one word. Instead, they are comfortable sending condolence messages. The community warned that if it continues, it would become a genocide and they would be forced to retaliate. They have called on the president to look into the matter. Afenifere has confirmed the story and also called for immediate action because the terrorists are humans, not spirits. So, does it mean this has been happening for years, but they kept mute because...
I was even thinking that they are planning. I don't know, they're already there. They have already set up.
No, they said it's been going on, but they kept quiet. You can even see pictures of them, placards protesting. The women, they're saying, we are all farmers. It's in Yoruba or something like that. So the question is, Barrister Darlington, some of these communities seem to have been experiencing this, but they've not been speaking it. They've not been saying anything.
They don't know who
Possibly now it's overwhelming and they have to speak. So how long will it take them to do what they know how to do, as they had said here?
You know, they are monitoring the place.
Who is monitoring the place?
The terrorists now. You know how they swoop on Kwara?
But they're saying if it continues, that they will no longer sit by, that what they will take matters into their hands. Obviously, they will go diabolical.
There is nothing they are going to do, Esther. There is nothing they are going to do. Why can't they do it?
Barrister, they killed a king. They killed a king and everywhere was mute.
Is that the only time they have killed a king? No, tell me, is that the only time? Answer now. Whenever they kill, we are going to do something, no. We are going to do something, no. They will kill again. Hey, we are warning you to be careful, oh. Don't try this in again, oh. They will kill again. You are still talking. So when I go to react, Esther, does it not show that you are weak? You don't know what to do. Somebody came all the way from the Sahel, from the north, to come and kill you in your own house, in your own village, and you are still complaining and talking. You will do something. When are you going to do something? You look. The best way to defend yourself is to attack. Oh. To attack. They have brought the war to your doorstep, and you are still talking. This was exactly what IPOB and ESN are doing to protect their people in the south, but they termed them all sorts of things because they didn't allow Buhari to carry out his plan in the southeast. Is that not the only reason why Buhari hated Nnamdi Kanu? Any other reason? Any other reason? The IPOB, did they do this type of nonsense as to say, yeah, this is why we don't like IPOB? This is why. Yes, all the things the IPOB are doing is known to the whole world. Self-determination. And it's because of this nonsense. That's why they say they want to be on their own. What is wrong with that? These guys that are doing all this, is that what they are pursuing? Is that what they are pursuing? So let nobody join IPOB with this nonsense. That's what I want to advise to Kishegumi. Let him carry his propaganda elsewhere. Look at what your own people, your own children, because you said these bandits are your children. You said it. You've been told that there are good bandits and bad bandits.
So
but you cannot be able to separate them for us.
Darlington, if this is the case, if the political class is exuding apathy, they're not concerned, their children are obviously abroad, they are not here, okay? And if anything happens, they have the money, they have the facility to get out of the country. So it's not their business. The largesse of the nation is at their disposal. Our crude oil, our wealth, the secrets of all our treasury is within their disposal. So they will just take what they want to take and leave us, you know, like leave we that do not have the means on our own. So what are Nigerians waiting for? Do you think Nigerians need someone who will do trials, someone who can be firm and affirmative?
Look, if an OB deploy IPOB and make use of them, this thing will end in 24 hours.
IPOB that has been proscribed as a terrorist organization.
He cannot proscribe them and make use of them.
Don't you think that's one of the reasons why they don't want him to be there? Because they think that's what he would do.
So really, so the end justifies the means now.
This is the reality of the conversation.
The means. If you since you have been using your people and they are working against the Nigerian state, why can't he bring somebody who will help him clear the mail like Ihejirika did? Esther, like Ihejirika did. That's what I'm telling you.
Is a new Nigeria looking impossible? Is a new Nigeria looking impossible?
It will look impossible if the wrong people are still in office. But if the right people come, the new Nigeria.
Amongst the current crop of politicians who have indicated interest to run in 2027, who is the right politician?
Esther, the right politician is the person that the people will choose. This was
I asked you a specific question. Amongst these politicians that have indicated interest to run for 2027, let me help you list them. The APC has automatically chosen Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and in the ADC, which is considered as the main opposition political party, you have Peter Obi, you have Rotimi Amechi, you have Atiku Abubakar. I want you to bear in mind that Atiku Abubakar and El Rufai and Rotimi Amechi, these individuals actually formed this political party. They brought this current administration to power. I want you to bear that in mind. So currently, those running for president in the ADC, Peter Obi, Rotimi Amechi, Atiku Abubakar. All right. Now, the only person who is not in this equation is Peter Obi, amongst those who brought this government to power. The other one who seems to be gaining momentum now is Omoyele Sowore of the AAC. A lot of persons are actually beginning to look into him because they feel he has been brave, consistent, and decisive and affirmative, showing a sense of spine. These are the individuals right now currently seriously have indicated their interest to occupy Aso Rock. And I'm asking you, which one of them, Bola Ahmed Tinubu in his first term, has displayed incompetence in handling security? So who amongst the rest do you think can do what needs to be done?
It is very obvious that a P2B should be given a chance. Not just because we're
not talking about a chance in terms of disposition, in terms of attitude, in terms of what you can call aura. Which one of them do you think can handle this?
I just told you here now. Didn't a P2B rule Anambra State as a governor?
He did.
When the other two Mbadunuju and then Gige was there, you saw what the Oba brother did with them. In fact, at a point, they burned down Oka. So
you think Peter Obi can handle insecurity better than Tinubu?
So
you don't think that this caliphate set of persons are trying to destabilize or polarize this country because they feel power must always remain in the north?
Let me tell you.
Despite the fact that Tinubu is a Muslim.
Esther, let me tell you. When Nigerians were looking for a Schwarzenegger, a Rambo, they said yes.
What did you say? A what?
Another Schwarzenegger, that American actor, who's always doing action film. He's a no-nonsense. He's the nemesis of bad guys.
They have said Sharia law is here to stay. Sultan Oshokoto actually made that statement. But ever since all of these perilous times and that ISWAP hasn't doing what they're doing, we've not heard him categorically come out to emphatically disclose and tell his people that we can no longer continue like this. Why is that?
Because that is the Sharia is in their DNA.
No, we're talking about the fact that these persons who carry out this mayhem keep chanting Allahu Akbar.
It's in their DNA. They believe that what they were told when they were in their infancy. Esther, this is indoctrination. Bad religious indoctrination. That is what is fueling this thing. And the leaders know that if they don't sustain this propaganda, this deceit, They will not have anybody to fight these their jihadists. That is the only reason why they keep, promoting and grooming these guys to become what they are. Didn't you see what happened when Jonathan was in office? That he built Almajiri schools, 165 of them, the whole north. And in just 1 week, 2 million of them enrolled in that school. What did the governor of Niger say at that time, Babangida Aliyu? He told Jonathan that what we need is money, not school. To his face. I said, look at. That was where I knew that these guys are up to something. They are not talking of progress. They are talking of what? Disaster. I don't know what they want to gain with this thing. So, I am not surprised, though. It is in their DNA. I don't know how you are going to remove something that is in somebody's DNA, except to allow him to pardon his own canoe. That is just the only reason. Pardon your canoe. Stay with your insecurity. Stay with your terrorism. Leave us alone. We want to live in peace. Is it too much to ask for? That is the truth here. Look at the way the northern leaders have kept quiet. That is criminal silence over what is going on.
I cannot even begin to comprehend it.
Esther, criminal silence. And you are telling me that they are sincere. But what they can be pursuing is politics. Remove Amopito, remove Anek chairman, remove him. He's a Christian. He wrote a letter.
In fact, Barrister, 33 minutes ago, Peter Obi wrote a tweet where he was talking about the persecution of the opposition, the recent attack on Rotimi Amici, the continuous incarceration of Mr. El Rufai, right? And if you look at the response, a couple of persons. Okay, let me take for example, Cubana Chief Priest says, in response to what he said about the attack on Rotimi Amici, he says, "This is really sad. I am not sure you will do better. The Fulani guys will kill your administration. It's better you just let it go. They will ruin you." The
day a madman realized that he's naked, Esther. You see madness. The day a madman realized that he's naked in the that is the day his madness will end, though. I hope you know that. Okay. So when things get to a head, you see this Nigerian that we are criticizing, they will now come to their senses and say, how did we get here? The Yoruba man will no longer care that my brother is in office. The Igbo man will no longer care who is there. The Hausa man will no longer. You will see what will happen that day. These guys that carried that revolution in Russia and France, are they from the same family? No, are they from the same family? But it happened, and it brought what? Good governance in those regions of the world. I trust my Igbo brothers. One day, these guys in Onitsha gathered and said, "Boss Oye." Go and ask anybody about Boss Oye. So, I am very, very optimistic. I've always told you that evil does not last forever.
Yeah.
It will get to a point where people will say enough is enough. The man in Enugu will shout. The one in Lagos will respond. By that time, these evil men will leave town by force. I told you a story here about Anambra after the war. Some guys who took Onitsha hostage. Esther, they took Onitsha hostage. You cannot buy and sell except you come and pay homage. They were extorting people. Boss, you are grumbling. Boss, you are angry. Boss, you are screaming. But they refuse to listen. Esther, I trust my Igbo brothers. One day, these guys in Onitsha gathered and said, "Boss Oye." Go and ask anybody about Boss Oye. Boss Oye, and that was it. They cleaned out Onitsha. Look at Otokoto in Imo State.
Yeah.
Vincent or whatever he's called, he had been reading since the 70s. In fact, a TV station used to use that Otokoto Hotel for a program. Every Sunday evening, they will go and listen to it. They don't know what that man is. He's just using that hotel as a camouflage. Until one day, when they killed an innocent boy, 11-year-old boy. And that was that. In fact, the rest became history. Or when the people gathered, they burned down the house and chased these guys out. They chased them out of town. Their businesses burned down. That was 23rd of November 1996 under Abacha. So evil doesn't last forever. I said in those days, On 2 occasions, when I was coming out from the airport, there'll be hold up. I'll ask the driver, come, what is keeping this? They say it's Obidiozo. That is Otokoto's son. Whenever he's moving along that Douglas Abiwedra road, Esther, no car will pass him. He will be moving like a snail on the road. Meanwhile, the front is very free. Oh. Cars will be running at his back to cross. He will just bring out gun and, warn you. He will bring out gun from his steering wheel and warn you not to try to overtake him. Esther, what this guy did, but one day, Esther, did it not come to an end? Did it not come to an end?
Barrister, do you know that
today, can you mention that you are from Otokoto family?
To travel to the north by road, you literally have your heart in your mouth and praying. The last time I traveled to the north was in 2015. 2015, that was the last time. I think I was having during my leave, and I decided to go visit some of my friends. That was the last time. Even at that, there were reports of insecurity. But all through my stay, I didn't experience anything. I can't think of having to travel there right now.
Yeah. To go
I'm not even talking about Kaduna
maybe
or
that
anything.
man, that Abdullahi may be waiting for you.
Which Abdullahi?
The man that wanted to take you to that tree and then.
Oh my God! You're referring to in the Just Crisis. You're referring to Just Crisis.
That man that wanted to bring that
Barrister, that's not the case. I have friends there whom I go visit.
Tell them to visit you here. That is not
obviously, they no, most of them have.
Where you school? You must have met friends there.
Their family members alternate between here and the US. But the thing is this, Barrister. What I'm trying to say is, I can't think of going to visit anymore. I can't think of visiting places where the food I grew up with there, I can't have it. I can't eat it. So my question is, Nigeria seems polarized because of insecurity. You can't travel from one place to the other. Those who do so, who even attempt to, God knows the kind of stuff they put on themselves, to travel.
And as I keep saying, Tinubu is the modern day Afonja in Yoruba land. And he will destroy, because for his sake, the Yoruba race will be in a very serious mess unless they abandon that idiot now. I call him an idiot with every reason in the world. A fool, a certificate forging criminal, a drug pusher in Chicago. Go and do your research on Tinubu. A drug pusher, a kleptomaniac extraordinaire, a thief of unimaginable, a living rogue, a stealing machine. All of you were there during election. Bank bullion van that used to carry money went to his house. Jagaban must go. A thief. He's also a murderer. He was instrumental in the slaughter of young Nigerian youths at your so-called Lekki toll gate. Have you all forgotten? Black people.
Well, in don't declare to everyone, say, day one for this country. And I don't know whether the president don't declare to run, because I don't see the reason why you go see things they work, and what they try to do for the country they work. If they actually go say they do work, why can't you just open your mind and do it boldly? You go be one of the best president we say we don't ever get. Everybody go remember you for what you do. But as they do like this, person no go feel remember you. Only waiting they go they remember how they do people, they put people for poverty. So if you could just come and boldly say, maybe we divide this country into 3 or 4, everybody could just they happy. They say thank God say Buhari come. So that's the best thing we be say if you do for yourself. Because if you keep on they talk all these things, the insecurity where everybody they always talk, they know they even ain't do anything about it. We dey talk say light for the past 1 week for my area, and we never get light. 1 week, and we never even know what thing happen. To the extent self, we don't even lose hope. Everybody now don't go into solar because of waiting face system. And we say that they do the right thing. Now everybody don't declare or say they want may they divide their own divide country. Yoruba don't they talk their own, Hausa don't they talk their own. You don't think we be say Biafra they talk say may they divide the country. Why don't you see, okay, since this thing now, this work would they give me, I know they feel do anything, make I just go and divide this thing. If things they good, you think say everybody go they agitate, say they won't go. Nobody go agitate for once. Nobody go agitate now, because say the system no dey favorable to everyone. Britain or British just carry us jumped 4-5 different tribes. for one particular place, make they become country. Now see what we dey face right now. Oh yeah, make we do the right thing. We don't get independence. Oh yeah, do the right thing. Make everybody just go rest. Than all this suffering where everybody they suffer. It's a shameful thing. See the way we will find ourselves for this country is a shameful thing. But I believe that one day everything, all this injustice we say that they do to the Igbos, one day will go clear for their eye. Because this place, never will not be one country, will not be one country. No matter how it be, no matter how they try to say make the thing look like. I'm not gonna just talk much. I go allow una share una own thoughts at the comment section, and don't forget to click the subscribe button for more updates. Your opinion really matters a lot. Share this video now. The only one I fit take encourage supporters and click the subscribe button for more updates and write freedom for Mazana the Khan and freedom for the people of Biafra. Thank you.